familiarity for you. I also apologise to Trevor and Alison, who we're not going to hear from Bill and from Richard. They will know who they are. But we have two more people to hear from, and I'm now going to talk about, or get them to talk about, the lonely church, what it's like to be alone, and whether we can help with that sense of loneliness. Will you welcome the Bishop of Nelson on the South Island of New Zealand, one of the most beautiful places in the world, and he's also a very nice man, Richard Eleanor. It's you. Richard, good afternoon.
Thanks, Peter.
Richard, the church in New Zealand, the Anglican Church in New Zealand, had its foundation exactly 200 years ago on Christmas Day, when an evangelist, originally from England, came and preached the gospel to the Maori people. He preached on, "Behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy. For unto us is born this day." So the foundation of the nation was connected to the Christian faith.
Well, it was to start with, but then the settler church came in.
Well, what's happened, brother? Tell us about what's going on.
What's going on? Actually, I think I should have been up here speaking about a compromising church rather than a lonely church in many respects, because the stories we've heard very much relate to what's going on to the church in New Zealand. We're very much an isolated country, and as such, we feel that we can determine find our own determination through things as a church. So it's the New Zealand church that decided to split into three tikanga, three partnerships, to show that we can truly be a unity in diversity. And that's fed on to all the issues that, of course, face the church now. We can be, they believe, a unity in diversity, and somehow we in Nelson find ourselves in the midst of that.
Is the sexuality issue a key and dividing issue in the Church of New Zealand?
Oh, yes, it's a huge one. Yeah.
Please tell us about it.
It's the
sexuality issue.
Sexuality issue. New Zealand, of course, just in the last year passed an amendment to the Marriage Act, which essentially redefined marriage to include anyone now. Same-sex relationships can officially be married in New Zealand. That's happened just this year. And of course that's defined many of the more liberal elements in the church who want the church to move to be in pace with what's happening in our wider community, and some dioceses are trying to push that very strongly.
Okay, so say you're in a diocese where the bishop and most of the people are very much in favour of the move to blessing same-sex unions and same-sex marriage, but you are a believer in the Bible and an Orthodox believer who is opposed to that. Just how lonely do you feel in a diocese? Now, you're not in that situation. Your diocese is different.
It's interesting because all the bishops in New Zealand are meeting this week to decide how we might move together to be a unity and diversity through this, and I chose to come to Gafcon. So, they're not there. But I've got to say I'm not alone. I might be the only evangelical bishop diocese in New Zealand, but there's 13 others from New Zealand here. Only most of them come from large parishes, not in my diocese. They're the ones who are alone. Not me.
And they are alone, aren't they? Because it's going to be difficult for them if the whole diocese moves in one direction and they are left. Is there any way of supporting them? Have you dreamed dreams about supporting them?
Yeah, I've dreamed lots of dreams, and just being here together is a chance to talk and begin that sort of planning. And Gafcon and the Fellowship of Confessing Anglicans are certainly critical to that unity and helping us be a unity together and find ways in which we may move ahead. One of the issues that the bishops are looking at is a dismemberment of the church as we know it, and something new growing out of it. So who knows what's going to happen.
So really, your message to the Gafcon conference and to the FCA movement is, we need you. You tell us that we're not alone.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Richard. Very, very kind. The bishop, of course, represents the Diocese of Recife in Brazil. And he is one of the, he has my intense admiration. So we welcome you to the stage. Bishop,
Thank you. Thank you
Bishop
very much.
Miguel. Sir, just briefly, tell us how the Diocese of Recife came to be in the position of being broken off from the main church in Brazil.
Well, the Anglican Church in Brazil is a daughter church from the Episcopal Church of America over 100 years ago. And it started as an evangelical and very Orthodox church, but during the 50s, late 50s, became exchanging ministries, so students, theological students, with the America, then became liberal. And today is a totally liberal province, the Episcopal Church of Brazil. But the northeast part of the country, the Diocese of Recife, was started by an evangelical bishop, believer, Orthodox, and an evangelist. So the whole diocese became evangelical, Orthodox, and charismatic. So during many years, we could deal with the situation, but it came into a point that we could not compromise. So some years ago, we decided, after Jenny Robinson's decision, and elected a bishop, and we broke relationship with the diocese who support that decision. So the Episcopal Church came against us and against our bishop at that time, Bishop Robinson Cavalcanti. And we decided the majority of the clergy decided that we are not going to support this, so we're going to support our bishop. And they decided to excommunicate us. And I have the pleasure to be maybe one of the only excommunicated clergy by the Episcopal Church here in this place. I have this in my curriculum. So since we went out of the Episcopal Church as a diocese, a few churches and clergy stay in the Episcopal Church. So we have two dioceses in the same area. Since we left the Episcopal Church, the diocese over double in size, and the clergy also, and the ministry is going very well. The thing is, how can we survive as a flying diocese around the world? I mean, the diocese needs a bishop. We have the bishop, but the diocese needs also a province. So we haven't had any province for many years. And the Anglican Communion, in the very fast and effective, to not say the opposite, came and listened and listened and listening and never did anything. So until today, we never heard anything from the Anglican Communion. I went by myself to the Anglican Communion office to share our situation, and nothing was done until the Gafcon started to happen.
Yeah. Thank you very much. You know you're not alone, don't you?
I'm not alone, because if I was alone, Bishop, I was not even a bishop. I was not even here. When our bishop was killed 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, the Gafcon and our brothers from the Gafcon, the FCA, went to Brazil. 3 bishops from the Gafcon bishops went to Recife to support us, to help us, to guide us to go forth to the election for the next bishop.
So your province is Gafcon.
Oh, my province is a Gafcon. And if I am, in fact, Bishop, it's important to say that I was consecrated in last December as a bishop, as a diocesan bishop, and the Gafcon sent 5 bishops from 3 different countries to consecrate me. So we are very pleased that we are an extra-provincial diocese to the Gafcon.
Good. Thank you very much. Will you thank my brother here? Planting and evangelism. Yes? And God bless them for that. But also I wanted to say how they have been treated by the churches they left has been nothing short of scandalous. The court cases, the locking out. I know that Archbishop Bob once told me a terrible story, in my opinion, that once when he went to the funeral of his own father, he was not allowed to even to read the lesson because he was defrocked. I take it by that's taking revenge a little far, wouldn't you say?
I would.
Yeah, just tell us about it, brother. What's it feel like?
Well, I think when I think about the formation of the Anglican Church in North America, first of all, we are given birth by Gafcon. It was
Yeah.
at the last Gafcon that the Jerusalem Declaration was read, and it was declared that there needed to be a province along the Jerusalem Declaration. So we are greatly indebted to all of you when we bless you. As to the suffering, it's of a subtle nature, has been already described in the Western world, but very real. Just to say personally, the counsel or the lawyer for the diocese that was just about to interrogate me for 4.5 hours, and basically just as one example to try to discredit and say that I was unfaithful as a priest, the lawyer said to our lawyer, "What has your clients done which has caused my client, the Diocese of Niagara, to hate them so much?" And that's the shame. The bishop who ordained me wrote in the Dawson paper he was sorry that he had ordained. And that's just a small thing in comparison to what much of the suffering which many of you have experienced, but it speaks to the fact that we were caught in a situation where we felt that the gospel was at stake. There was another gospel, which is no gospel at all, which was being encouraged, and it was very seductive. And we could preach our gospel okay as long as we in no way questioned that. And when we did, and we found it necessary, and we were so grateful for a welcome from you, that was beyond the pale. So that yes, there are lawsuits, buildings lost. One of my colleagues in the historic church in Ottawa, our nation's capital, when they left their building, he said to the press, "I'm proud to lose a building for Jesus." And so we're very grateful, and we know that as the Anglican Church in North America, we've been sort of driven into the streets in a way, but it's not a bad place to be, because it's forced us to think about evangelism and church planting. We're seeking to plant 1,000 churches in 5 years, and so this very reality, which none of us wanted, has actually been used by God for the gospel we believe.
I get the impression Gafcon's important to you guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Please thank our brother. What Charlie told us then is just a small insight.